Wait. The soaring blades have the tech potential? I'm not sure how to feel about that one. Well, what is going on YouTube? Chrono here, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to make a long overdue video. Again, I promise these videos will be more on time with when these weapons come out, but we'll be talking about the Tisah series. How strong are they actually? How useful are they going to be? I wanted to get this video out before the next weapon series comes out because, of course, the comparison will be how good is that weapon series versus how good this weapon series is going to be. But the usual spiel before we get started: if you guys are new here, I'm Chrono. I primarily cover PSO2 content. Would much appreciate a subscribe as we work our way towards that 10K mark, hopefully by the end of this year. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into this. Oh, a special shout out to Skulls for helping me out with my creative space. Yeah, you guys will see more of this. It's definitely not done. I'm definitely not just flexing my gold tree today, but yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So as per usual with these videos, in case you guys are curious where I gather my information from, this is all directly from the Visiphone website. You can always hop over here, pull this information up yourself. I always show you guys how I do this. That way, in case I don't make a video on time, kind of like this one, you guys are more than welcome to go ahead and take care of it on your own. Find out how good something is going to be on your end. But in case you're waiting for me to make a video, talk to you guys about it, you just want to hear my voice, throw it up in the background, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll have a little conversation about it. So the Tisah series does have 3 separate potentials that it can go with, and as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, the Soaring Blades has the tech potential, I guess because the Soaring Blades jet boots and Bouncer being considered a melee tech class, but either way. Actually, you know what, now that I think about it, I'm curious about what is it, Katana, one sec. It looks like they did the same thing with Katana. Katana also has the range potential. Not bad, neat. All right, so let's talk about the different potentials that we have here. So we've got 3 different potentials. We've got receptive unit, we have incandescent unit. Oh, if only I could be so grossly incandescent. It's a Dark Souls reference for any of you guys who know, you know. And dance obscura unit. So for the tech potential, which it looks like the soaring blades and then all of the tech weapons will be sharing, you've got potency plus 36% and offensive PP recovery. So yeah, 36%. So basically everything before this is non-conditional. So anything before the semicolon is non-conditional. Everything afterwards is conditional to an extent. It looks like they separate these out based on semicolon. Actually, no, wait, did they change the formula on me? I guess it's okay, weird. They're putting semicolons between everything now, but whatever. But offensive PP recovery plus 15%, natural PP recovery plus 20%, damage resistance plus 30%, and then minus 30 PP when you take damage. This starts after 10 seconds. So before, it used to be like it would be the potencies by itself and then everything else comes afterwards, but it looks like all of these are individual, and then you also just take 30, or you lose 30 PP when you take damage. It's interesting. I guess that's, as long as you just don't take damage, you're fine. You don't lose a bunch of PP, but taking damage also causes you to lose your resource, which feels kind of bad. But it does have a whopping 992 base damage at max upgrade, so that's really, really nice. And that 36% potency is nothing to scoff at. The melee one looks like it's 36%, and it's plus 15 PP on critical hit. The cooldown is 10 seconds and starts 10 seconds after being equipped. This is so much better, actually. I mean, there's no loss of any resources when you do get hit. You just gain resources when you actually get crits, which in our current state of game is actually not that bad. Getting a crit every 10 seconds is pretty simple unless you just don't hit the enemy that often, so. And then for the ranged potential, we have 32% potency, but plus 1% potency every 5 seconds to a max of plus 5% potency, which will put you at 37%, so 1 point higher than everyone else. But you lose 1% bonus potency whenever you take damage. So it looks kind of reminds me of Gunblaze in a sense, where you lose some damage whenever you take damage, but you only lose 1%. And unless you're just taking 5 hits in a row really quickly, normally losing 1% is not a huge deal. So now we know what each of these do. Let's take a look at how they compare against our current weapons. Now, spoiler warning, or not spoiler warning, but flashbang warning. We're going over to a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet is all white, meaning that you are going to get flashbanged. You have been warned, and I have talked about it enough. I'm basically rambling on purpose. Give me 1 sec. I'll be right back. All right, apologies for the flashbang. We are over here on Cakewalk's damage calculator yet again. I've gone over this multiple times. Feel free to check out previous videos where I talk about it, but the short version is Cakewalk makes damage calculator. You can input your own information into this and compare your class and your weapons and your augments to find out how good something's going to be for you. I highly recommend you guys do that on your own. That way you know how strong something is going to be and how much of an upgrade it is. And also you can check me whenever I make mistakes. We do have add-on skills calculated and added into here. We have my add-on skills, of course, put in your own. The only big differences are going to be the crit rate and crit damage one. I mean, potency is nice, but it's only flat potency. It doesn't make a huge difference in the damage calculations, as well as subclass usage. Having Slayer as your subclass does give you more crit chance, and it does mean that you're going to benefit more from things that either provide enough crit chance to get you over that threshold, or crit damage when you already are over that threshold. If you're a Slayer, you already are probably going to be over that threshold, so just be aware and be ready for that. So we're going to compare against the Neos Astrian. The Neos Astrian is pretty standard for most people. We're also going to go with the current best in slot setup for most players. If you're going with Slayer, you want just raw stat most of the time. You have so much crit that you actually can get away with that. But if you're not playing Slayer as your main, then you probably want to go with something like this, where you still have some potency floor and you still have a lot of raw stat as well. Looking at the comparison to Tisah weapons, let's take a look here over at this comparison here. We can see that melee Tisah, when compared to a Neos Astrian, we're looking at melee at about baseline 16%. So it is pretty freaking substantial how much damage you're actually getting off of this, to the point where I actually want to compare this off of yeah, you know what? Hold on a sec, guys. Let's compare this off of something a bit stronger. All right, so I opted to go with Gunblaze at 80% uptime with Fatal 5. If you're someone who's looking at a Tisah, likely you probably aren't sitting at a Neos Astrian. So you probably don't really care about that comparison. So something like a Gunblaze at Fatal 5 is more of an accurate comparison to something like a Tisah, because realistically speaking, the damage difference is going to be not as large. But again, if you're someone who is using a Neos Astrian, you're thinking about purchasing a Tisah, maybe you got one as a drop and you're thinking about maybe should I sell it, should I keep it, so on and so forth. That's ultimately up to you, but you'll be able to kind of tell how good that something like that's going to be. So like I said, 80% uptime is what we went with. Let's see how these weapons fare. So for the melee weapon, to keep in mind, that's something like the double saber, the sword, the knuckles, the hunter weapons, all that good stuff. You're looking at about 11% at base, and then if you happen to be crazy enough to actually get a Fixa, some of these percentages go crazy. Of course, you always want to go with Fixa Fatale, because you don't have enough crit chance to want to go crit damage, realistically speaking. But any Fixa would be great in this situation. It's just getting the weapon that's going to be amazing in the first place. If we're looking at ranged, so emotional damage just means having, I guess, no stacks. You're still looking at 7%, so weaker than the Tisah melee potency, basically the weakest one of all of them if you have no stacks. At 4 stacks, however, which is kind of like the minimum, not minimum, but kind of the baseline of what most people are expected to be at for the most part, because you're not going to lose all your stacks immediately. If you take a hit, you're likely going to either dodge any follow-up hits or just get out of the way of any follow-up hits, or it's just one hit in general. So 4% is a pretty safe bet to be at. You're looking at 12.20%, and that's already stronger than melee and stronger than technique. So range definitely has the strongest one this time around. So if you're someone who's like, oh, well, I can get 2 Tisahs, if you're crazy enough to multi-weapon them, multi-weapon it with a ranged weapon probably is what you want to go with. However, keep in mind, this also only counts potency. This does not count any of the utility things that are offered from the ranged, or the technique or the melee, where they have increased PP regeneration. In melee's case, I believe they have some damage reduction. So that is not counted in. It is worth mentioning that does make a difference for some rotations. So keep that in mind when you're deciding what you want to go with. But if you have the if you have the ability to make those sort of decisions in the first place when it comes to these weapons, I feel like you're not even watching this video to begin with. This is mostly for us to just kind of compare and see how strong some of these weapons are going to be comparatively to the next set of weapons that come out. So I digress. Moving on. Looks like max power is just absolutely cracked as we assumed. And then of course, technique is about 11.16. So more or less in line with the other one, since it's 36%. It kind of speaks for itself. These weapons are insanely powerful, and they're insanely powerful because they've got decent potentials where they have a lot of potency, and they have just insane raw stat. Being at 992 is absolutely ballistic. And we know from the new weapons that are going to be coming out, the future weapons that we have over on the horizon, that those weapons are also be 992. However, we don't know what their potentials are going to be just yet. All we know about them is they're minus 25% potency and plus 100% crit chance at potential level 1. We'll have to see what they get to potential level 6 and how strong they're actually going to be when we get a hold of them. And that's it. Like I said, this video isn't too long, kind of straight to the point. Tisah weapons are absolutely powerful. And if you happen to get a hold of one and you're crazy enough to use it, well, you've got a good chunk of damage. It'll be nice to see how strong they are comparatively to the new weapons we'll be getting next week with the new piece of content that we got coming out. Suffice to say, I have my own, thoughts on those weapons, and we'll talk about them probably in another video. But let me know if there's anything I missed in the comments below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to keep up with more, and I'll see you all next time. Take care, everyone. Peace out.